We is live.
Hey.
What is happening, everybody? So we decided that we have crazy storms that are we had just one wave come through here, and then there's going to be more through the rest of the night. So we figured let's just do this on StreamYard rather than having them come out to the shop. And
it's safer in a house than a metal building. Yeah.
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 I don't think that's the safest building in the world to be in, like for a tornado type of thing.
No, it's not. Hello. Hi.
Thank you, Uncle Kathy. What about the coffee? Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
So everybody's in
Chop,
here.
woman, come on.
What's that?
I said chop, woman, come on.
Chop, woman. Ooh. Music is back. Rich Rudy, Chris Cadman, Wayne Puzzle. Oh, God, they're all the good people are here. Joe Kingston, Lincoln, Danny Boyd, Makaiska, Rocco. Welcome all. It's Wednesday night. Let's talk tech. Oh, God, the lighting is terrible in here. Did you see it? I just mean the clips.
Don't do that.
There we go. Look at us in the dark.
Mexican spec. How you doing, man?
Schnell, Kathy.
Jeff Hutchins.
Thumper, don't say it too loud. I'll catch off with this afterwards. And Zero's here. And as long as Zero's here, you know, we've attained fullness.
Brady box special.
Yeah.
Let's see. We should be good as long as the internet holds up. It's the power. Power's been going. It's been flickering here, and it's been going out in areas around us. So I think we should be good for a couple hours. I don't think the next wave of storms is going to come through till about the time we're done. So
yeah, you'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Yeah, it was about a half an hour ago. I'm like, let me put on shoes just in case.
Just in case.
No sense of adventure.
It went right under you, Kiwi.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, actually, Spring Hill evidently got hit really hard.
Yeah, they got
wow.
Yeah, they got a big tornado that went through there. So
yeah, if anybody, there's mass casualty event everything. So anybody watching this, you got people in the Columbia or the Spring Hill area here in Tennessee, check on them. Let's see. Joe K. Dr. Art is flying a traffic copter. He'll give us updates.
hey, I can. So don't threaten me with a good time. So
UTG ain't got a generator. Yeah, Danny, I got a generator. I don't know where it is, and I've got one.
Yeah, like a car generator. Yeah.
Yeah, I got cars. I don't need a generator. I have cars.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Mark Suave, Tony, you're drinking water. You know what fish doing that? Yes, WC Fields. I know all about it, bro. Kiwi, you're a foreigner. You probably missed that whole thing when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, no, we don't get tornadoes in New Zealand.
No,
tornadoes.
WC Fields.
No, we do get cyclones, hurricanes, and shit, but not tornadoes.
I thought a cyclone was a tornado.
No.
That's
Cyclone doesn't spin like a tornado. Cyclone's like a hurricane.
Well, hurricanes spin.
They rotate, but they don't spin like a tornado. They don't suck shit up off the ground and spit cars out. Yeah.
A tornado is like a little hot rod hurricane. And a hurricane.
Little.
Yeah. But what's
usually little if they hit your house.
Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
You're so awesome.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the difference between a typhoon and a cyclone?
Not a lot. I think it's just a different. It's a name, same thing, different name.
Okay, Barracuda wants. Oh, who said that?
Oh.
James Jennings wants to know why there are so many four-door cars in Australia.
That's a good question, actually. The two doors never really took off to the same degree. I mean, it's just, I don't have a good answer for that. They're hugely popular. I mean, even the GT, like the GT Falcons and stuff like that, and the HSV Holden Commodores and that, most of them, they made a two-door Holden Commodore, and they just weren't popular. People want to have back doors and want people to be able to get in the back and take all the bros for a ride. And
Could it be that people in that part of the world measure wealth and status in the number of doors that they have?
I don't think that's it. No, but it's not a bad theory.
Let's go with that. I'll state it as a fact in a future video.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's see.
Barry Cooter's saying they do. Barry Cooter's saying we do get tornadoes in New Zealand these days. Actually, I had heard that somewhere. That a tornado hit New Zealand, but it's when I was there, 15 years ago, we never got tornadoes. So anyway,
what was this here now? D-Truth. Does pouring water in the carb clean carbon? Yes, it absolutely does.
Yes, it does. Yep.
But only when the engine's running. You
yes.
don't do it when it's sitting there. Yeah, it doesn't do
anything. Not too much at a time.
Yeah.
That's an important technical that you threw in there,
That's why I'm here,
Yes.
Hey, make sure the engine is running and warm. Yeah.
This is really, really bad. Okay.
At Zero, home of the four-door muscle cars. This is absolutely true.
Your picture isn't level.
It's like I told him in the chat. The picture's level. It's the wall that's a little funky because it's
part of it's the angle because in the view it looks like it's seriously leaning.
Yeah, here. Let me tip the computer. There you go. Yeah. There we go. Oh, all good. Yeah.
Too much bourbon. Oh.
Oh yeah, you can have your Wednesday night bourbon again there, Kiwi.
Oh, I can actually. That's a good point. All right, hold my space. I'll be back in a moment.
We had to remind him to drink. What's going on?
I left my rum because he's drunk. So you have to remind him to
he forgot to drink because he's already drunk. Oh, okay.
Wayne says tornadoes are like divorces. Someone's going to lose a trailer.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Mike Brown, has anyone heard any updates on Nivelak's stolen Studebaker and tow rig? I have not.
No, I have not. No, I haven't talked to Calvin in a few weeks, and he's he had a post up of what project he should do next. So that was the last kind of public communication from him. So nothing.
He's already moved past it. In other words.
Yeah, it wrecked him pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure it would. But like any hot rodder, you got to be a resilient type. You know what I mean? We lose stuff all the time. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, but it's part of the game. How beautiful the thing is. Oh God, it's on fire. So it's like you get used to it.
Yeah, you hop out. You don't hug the car when it's on fire. You hop out. Yeah.
Right. So but I do hope he gets over.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Who just made a cameo appearance behind you, Dr. Art? Someone just appeared and half a second later they disappeared again.
That was this.
Oh, was that? Ah.
Yeah, it's the Yeti. It's Bigfoot. Yeah.
Grew up in Tornado Alley. We had them almost every night in the summer.
If you've lived in Texas, you kind of get a little bit, storms aren't that big a deal because the thunderstorms literally shake the house all night long. And they let the 12-year-olds play with the tornado siren, so they're going off every 20 minutes and stuff like that. So now you're like, let me find my shoes.
JK wanted to know what my shirt was tonight, so there you go.
A little won't hurt. A little work never hurt me. That's why I risk it.
The trusty Kiwi with his that now. See that? That's a chili bin. That's a chili bin.
Mm.
That's the official name of that. It's a chili bin.
A chili bin.
Otherwise known as a cooler.
Oh! A chili bin.
We call it a chili bin.
That's a great name. I'm going to use that from now on. I had never heard of it.
There you go.
D-Truth, tell me, did you pick up the Posi for Mission Impact? It's not a Posi. You can't call it a Posi because it's a Chrysler product. It's a sugar or track lock. Not track lock. What the hell? What do they call it in the modern Mopars? They don't call it a sure grip anymore. Well, whatever it is. No, I have not picked one up yet. But Dr. Art did reprogram the computer, and it's actually pretty severe. I did make a mistake. I made a mistake. I should have told you to bring it in even just a little bit sooner.
Oh, I mean, it's not a big deal, but you can tell a difference, right?
Yeah, there's a definite difference.
Yeah.
Far more solid from like 2000.
Well, that's when I drove it. The whole like front left was like carrying through second gear. I'm like, oh, there's torque here now. Yay!
Yeah, lots and lots of torque, rich, creamy torque. But I should have had you bring it in a little bit lower than that.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. But it's around. It's right around 2, but I can bring it in. I can bring it in earlier. It's not a big deal. I can bring it in right off idle.
Like 1500 like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But there's a definite difference.
Has that made a good difference, the tune?
Yeah.
Really?
It picked up, how many degrees did you say? It was like 11 degrees?
16 degrees.
16-degree difference.
At full throttle, because when, they make Jeeps for moms, if she has to go full throttle, they don't want her, kicking rods out. They're just like, she doesn't need all that power. So they knock the timing down, like we were talking about with the boats.
Yeah.
So we just negated all that and put the timing spike right up to, all the other stuff.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, right up to 32 degrees at, 2200 RPM. So.
Yep. You would that thing in right about 2000 RPM, and it gets angry. It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's cool.
We are not going to go into that engine to reach our goal. I'll almost guarantee it.
Oh, that's cool.
But we're gonna.
Beagle Bob asked if if this T-shirt was merch, and actually it's not.
Tell them it is. They don't know. Tell yes, it's in my store.
But this is the only one I've got. This is the only one I got. So
it's but there is edition.
Well, then it's premium. Then it's $100.
Bingo.
Well,
exactly. Yeah. And sign it.
But there is news on that front. There is 2 T-shirts ordered. No, not 2 types of T-shirts ordered. Merch, and it's coming. They're just doing the artwork on it now. We're getting a large Marge T-shirt and a Kiwi Kev T-shirt.
A Kiwi Kev?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So they're coming. Like I've actually put the order in. So
no, the words written in like an accent.
Yeah, we tried to do that, but that was difficult. Yeah.
3T Magnum was asking, is Dr. Art modding your tow XJ? No, not the tow XJ, the drag XJ. If you missed it, I picked up a 2-door, 2-wheel drive, 4-liter, 5-speed Jeep, which is just a fun little thing. But we're tweaking at it, and Dr. Art put a little tune on it, just like a preliminary tune. It's like the first time he's cracking into this thing and altering stuff, and brought the timing. What exactly did you
I brought, because on fuel injected motors they have, let's say it's 10, but it's more than that, 10 maps of timing from a light cruise, acceleration, decel, all that kind of stuff. But the full throttle load map was set down low for engine protection, but we turned it up because we don't care about engine protection.
We don't need a stinking engine protection.
Take this, you damn pistons.
Right. No, and the tow
it is.
Yeah, the tow XJ doesn't need a tune on it and stuff like that, because it's not going to see that RPM range and stuff that we're going for. It's not going to be in that range. So we would hurt that trying to put all that timing into it while it's towing 5,000 pounds.
Yes.
But and that has the cat, and that has everything else still in it. So it's a whole different deal. So leave the tow one alone. It runs, it drives, the AC works. Leave it alone.
So, but anyway, that's the latest with the drag XJ. I'm not making any other changes. We're going to go back out there, hopefully this Friday night. What are you guys doing? You want to go out Friday night?
We can do Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we're gonna take it back out on Friday night, and the only change we're gonna make at this point, 2 things, right? Because we're only gonna make one change at a time. So it's still gonna have this. It's still gonna have the original tires on it. I'm not really worried about the tires right now. Still an open rear, but we did the tune, and I'm adding the most redneck modification that has ever been attempted in all of YouTube. Thanks to a viewer's suggestion. I absolutely love it. So we're gonna try this out and see what happens, and then we'll go from there.
Now, is there any?
We have to wait and see, do we, what it is?
Yeah. Is there any tread left on that rear passenger side tire, or you got to put a front one on?
Dude, those tires are really they've come around.
No chance when I had them the other day.
They've gotten younger and they've gotten softer.
Yeah,
just like
we burned off all the dead rubber. So now we're down to a layer of okay rubber.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not bad. It's just like those gator backs back in the day when you used to street race on the gator backs. They were trash until they were almost bald. When you could just barely see any tread left on them, they bit really hard. There's a picture of my car launching. This was in Cars Illustrated magazine. It's like a full page shot of me launching that car at Englishtown on the gator backs. And it's right at the moment of launch, and you can actually see daylight under the left front wheel. That's on stock gator backs. They went right at that point. They were perfect. So hopefully maybe these tires will get around to that same kind of thing. But the most important deal, Art, is that I was at the mercy of the clutch. Like I had to really slip to get the RPM up, and then she would come down. But now I don't have to slip as much, and the RPM doesn't want to dive because the timing is there. So less shock to the drivetrain, the tires roll out more evenly, and they should be able to. That change all by itself should add some.
Well, yeah, like I said, I put it in second gear and rolled to like 10 miles an hour and just mashed it, and it just blazed the tires all the way into third. So, yeah,
it's a fun vehicle, bro. Let's see.
Did you see Chris Cadman up here? Uncle Tony got a Shasta Blue 1976 Honda 550 Super Sport out for the summer.
Oh, nice. Those are great bikes. Shasta Blue. They don't make colors like that anymore. Kazilevich 13, just like the bias players and fast. Yep, exactly like that. Dead Dodge Garage race update. Nothing new. We're May 31st, and I don't know if he wants to. I'm going to leave it up to him to say whether or not he wants to give the time and the track. So because he's the guest. If he wants to have people come, then he'll do that. And if he wants to be with us, we'll leave it like that. But yes, it's all set. We're all ready to go for May 31st. Kiwi, you're a good sport. You must know something us Americans don't know. That's just not a clue, but that's good.
Yeah.
I know where Waikakamukau is, and I bet no Americans know where that is. You could leave that one alone.
Glenn Nickerson gets daylight under his tires every time he hits the curb in front of his house. That's what, bro. Any way you could do it, whatever it takes. When I was a kid, like when I was like 6, 7, you're just starting to ride like two-wheelers and getting stupid on them. We used to jump over the curbs. Did you guys do that?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, Kiwi, did you even have bicycles down there? You had bicycles,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, of course we did. Yeah.
Did you have curbs?
Yes.
Did you jump over the curbs with the bicycles?
Yeah, and over at homemade ramps and all sorts, yeah.
Oh, before that, like when you were like 6, before you could like start.
Anything you could jump over, you jumped over, yeah, absolutely. Anything to make it dangerous, yeah.
We all wanted to be Evel Knievel.
And we didn't have to wear helmets because apparently we didn't land on our heads.
I landed on my head plenty.
That would explain a lot.
You have no idea the extent of head trauma I've had over the course of my life. It's a good question. You want to know, Kiwi, did you ever ride a kangaroo?
No, I don't think you can ride a kangaroo, to be honest. I've never ever seen or heard of that being done.
Did you ever try?
Some of them are big enough, you could, but I mean, the big ones are not to be messed with. They'll tear you up.
Did you ever fight a kangaroo?
No.
Oh,
no,
you did.
You actually have to
lie. But lie about it. Just please say that you did.
No, they'll mess you up a kangaroo with those big back legs. They stand up and they rake you with their big hind legs, and they'll like gut you like a fish.
I saw a guy boxing a kangaroo. It was
Yeah. I've seen that video. He saved his dog, didn't he? And then tried to.
Yes, yeah. You saw that, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's a thing.
That takes a big pair of colonies, right?
Yeah.
Toe for a kangaroo. And I think he had landed a couple of good shots, and this thing was like a face. I don't care.
No, not at all.
But if in the future, if anybody asks, yes, of course.
Well, okay, that's probably a better answer. Yeah.
All Kiwi teenage boys fight kangaroos.
He's the amateur kangaroo boxing champion of New Zealand. Yeah. That's right. For his weight class.
And as Terence Seymour points out, we don't actually have kangaroos in New Zealand, so
that's a technicality. Remember, we're in the States now, okay? So
everything south of the United States is Australia. Yeah.
Right. All stereotypes to the plight, his sort of accent, they go. You know what I'm saying?
There you
go. Barry Kuda saying the cassowary. What the fuck is that?
Cassowary.
What is that?
Yeah, they're pretty vicious too.
It sounds like something that's got like tentacles.
Kiwi, if you cartwheel off the pedal bike, do you spin backwards? Absolutely. Yep, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ryan Barkley, Dr. Art, how much did your tune improve the power and torque of the Jeep? And does it run noticeably smoother?
Yes.
There you go. I don't know about smoother. I don't really sense smoother.
Just more angry.
Angry. You wood the thing, and it's just like it just wants to go. You can feel it, you know. Kiwi can just say last of the V8 Interceptors.
Last of the V8 Interceptors. Okay. D-Truth, what's the best time your car ran? We just ran it the once, and it did a 12.6.
Which is pretty impressive, if you ask me, for what it is.
Yeah.
Well, eighth mile, mind you, which was a quarter mile.
It'd be nice if it was the quarter mile, but for a very old tired car, that was not a bad effort.
Okay, Chris London, are you guys going to HR Power Tour?
Yes,
we have a tentative plan. We actually have to get all together now, but Dr. Art is taking Big Richard. Kiwi is taking Large Marge. I'm taking my Charger, the 66 Charger, 67 Charger. I don't know what my own car is. Steve is coming with his Oldsmobile.
Yes, he is. Yep.
Right, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple other people joining up with us. We're not part of the actual Power Tour. Like, we didn't buy Power Tour tickets, but we're going to run up to Bowling Green together. And then we're all going to go down to Nashville Speedway, which is our backyard. We live right there. So, yes, we will be unofficially part of Power Tour.
What date is those? June.
10th and 11th next month. So we got a month and 2 days.
Yeah, and we still don't have a converter.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from him. Have you heard back from him?
No, I gotta find you a converter.
Find one, or just call Summit and have one dropped off. Have it drop it off at my house.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't want to. I know he's got more money than everybody, right? He's like the Federal Reserve, this guy. But I don't want to spend his money on a converter that is specifically like geared towards the Hemi that's going in there. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So I think for this 318, like, just at this point, just a stock converter, anything that'll get the car up and running, so you can fire the motor and get it in there. we'll do something. Even if I got to pull one, I'll get you covered.
There you go. Tony, stray bullet. Tony is crashing power tool. Well,
yes.
as only Tony can. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. Clutch Kicker, what's happening, brother man? He's from Sydney. Is he another one of your people from upside down land? Someone fast. Do you think Dead Dodge Garage has a chance? No, but it's drag race. Anything can happen. And that car is really inconsistent. I mean, like super inconsistent. It never does the same thing twice. So,
and he may be completely sandbagging you too.
And he might. That could be a legit like mid 11-second car. I mean,
it is a 360 Demon 4-speed. So.
Yes, and the chassis was race prepped at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It was run as a stock eliminator car. So, yeah, I think I got uncovered. Yes, Zero saying the race for the cake. I ate half the cake, by the way.
race for the cake.
He's going to get a real fuzzy of the wheel. Urquhart is wearing his new Kiwi hoodie and shiny golden Kiwi tennis shoes.
He is? You are?
Hey, nice.
Okay. Where'd you get them from, Eric? What are you talking about, Hoss?
Good call. Let's see. Jay Russellfitch, cheating can mean hobbling the opponent's car. Listen, I'm nothing if I'm not honest, right? So I tell anybody and everybody, any competition, I don't care if we're going to play Monopoly or Scrabble or Drag Race or whatever. I'm going to look. My primary objective when I encounter any sort of competition, my primary objective is to cheat. That's the only thing I'm concerned with is cheating. No, I mean, if you stay concerned with that, you almost can't lose. So at least I'm honest about it. I will cheat any way, any competition. I will cheat any way possible. I'll hide money on the Monopoly. You name it, I'll do it. Right. So, but I tell you up front, this way it's fair. You can cheat too. But no, I don't think I would hobble his car.
No, it's just going to be sad to watch him kind of sulk all the way back to, the forest in the Northwest.
I don't think he's going to sulk, and he doesn't have a chance because I'm telling you, Sleghammer has not run anywhere to its potential yet, but it also has never made a consistent thing. It never does the same thing twice. So, and it's not like I'm out there putting laps on it. It's like by the time I actually get back out there again, it's going to be months since I drove it. So again, see, anything can happen.
Hey, now, Dr. Art, Chris Cadman said Kiwi turbo on a supercharger on a Ford 306. Now, I know they stack up turbos, but can you stack a turbo on a supercharger?
Sure. And you just force feed the supercharger. Yeah, you get to the point of diminishing returns after a while because of the heat, but yes, you can do it. Yeah, you can shove air into the lid of that supercharger and make it really go.
Who asked that question?
So if you put 10 pounds into a 10 PSI supercharger, will that then produce 20?
Wait, who asked that question?
Chris Cadman, 728.
728? Okay. Because there
is in theory, yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you just have a 20 PS? I mean,
I'm just quoting round numbers. It's just an easy math.
Toyota actually made a car that had both on it.
Yeah.
You're probably familiar with that because it was a rally car, wasn't it? It had a
Lancia did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lancia did that, but that was more to get over the lag. That was the supercharger was there, and then the turbo took over. Mm-hmm. They didn't stack them, if that's the right term.
Oh, okay.
Well, there was a very well-known drag car that was around in let's say 1972, 73 until the mid-70s called the Golden Gator. So it was a top alcohol dragster. A guy named Chase Knight, who worked for not Comp, he worked for Crane. Either Comp or Crane, I forget. He was a camshaft guy. And this was a top alcohol dragster that had a 426 Hemi in it, a supercharger, and a pair of turbochargers on top of that. And it was a semi-successful car. I mean, that's a lot to sort. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot to sort out.
That's a lot of effing around. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're interested in that concept of superchargers with turbochargers, the Golden Gator, you Google that and you'll find lots of information on it. Let's see. Silence.
Silence, dead air.
Dead air.
Oh, you have to have music in the background next time so we can avoid the dead air.
I like that music you play in the background of your video. It's just barely perceptible.
Well, it's to fill in the dead air.
It's brilliant.
Because, well, if you think about it, the audio experience is half of the video.
Yes.
Right? And if your audio is shit, well, then you have more of a shit experience. And my videos need all the help they can get, so.
But it's just so imperceptibly there in the background.
Oh, it's a precise measurement out on the editor. So it's, yeah.
You're all about the science, Dr. Art. All about the science. Kiwi and I, we're just primitive, like, we're just going with it, bro. And you're digging into the science of it all.
It's play with the numbers.
Why can't we get along as saying VW 1.4 TSI engine is common. It's twin charger, turbo, and supercharger. Okay. But if the name of the game is just to spool up quick, why not just give it a quick squirt of nitrous? Would that be more effective than the parasitic losses through a supercharger?
Or I would just put a small and a big turbocharger on it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Subarus had twin turbos, and that was the theory. They had a big one and a small one. But of course, in rally now they have anti-lag. They have very advanced anti-lag systems. Those cars will make a bar of boost, like 15 pounds boost at idle, with a turbocharger.
Let's see. Fun with cars. I just watched a video about Smokey today. Dan boy, they say the 7/8 car wasn't true. Oh, the Chevelle. Yeah, but it wasn't a scale replica of the car like people had said. And it was more like 15/16 than 7/8. It was just very small, but none of the templates fit. See, so while it wasn't actually a scale model of a Chevelle, it still wasn't a Chevelle. And that's why they started with all of the body templates. That was the car that caused NASCAR to say, hey, wait a minute. We got to start checking everything. Because he changed every proportion of the car just slightly enough that it looked, you walk around it, oh, yeah, it's a 66 Chevelle. Nope. Nothing on it fit the 66 Chevelle. 67. When I was a kid, I guess I was about, so I'm going to say, I'm 62, so probably about 12. So around 1974, 1975, Hot Rod Magazine, which was like my Bible, Hot Rod Magazine and Superstock and Drag Illustrated, did a story called Smokey's Bag of Tricks. And it was all of the things that Smokey Yunick, that he wanted to talk about. It was all of the things that he had used to cheat through the years. And as he put it, it's not cheating, it's creative rules interpretation. If the rules don't say you can't do something, that means that you can do it. So it's legal until they tell you it's not. So it was all of these things that he did in the name of cheating the system, making the gas tank bigger by putting a balloon in there, blowing up the balloon and expanding the tank, running like 30 feet of half-inch garden hose through the car for fuel lines. Right? Stuff like that. The guy was just pure genius. It's like he would just think through all of these issues and come up with a workaround. And I read that, like I said, I was probably 11 or 12 years old when I came out, and it really formed the whole foundation for my life going forward. I was like, yes, this is the way to do it. You know what I mean? Find what the boundaries are, see what you can get away with, and go for it. And that story and that methodology has done me pretty well over the last many decades.
I always go with, for every system, there's a more powerful anti-system.
There you go.
There you go.
Always. And if there ain't one, I'll find it. So
make one.
Yeah.
His tricks weren't cheating.
Clutch Kicker's saying it's Jamie's car's a 340 6-pack, isn't it? You keep saying 360.
No. Jamie's car started out as a 340, not a 6-pack. It was a 340 Demon that was running stock eliminator, and now he built a 360 for it. So it's right now it's a 360 4-speed. It was originally a 340 4-speed.
Yeah, which he still has the original motor, I believe. Correct? Yeah, I think when he was talking about it, it was sitting over there in his pile of engines with a little cardboard sign that says, "Hi, I'm your 340."
He should be. I'm surprised he hasn't popped in here yet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Blaze Urati says prototype V10 Mustang was neat. Too bad that never made production. I didn't know that even was a prototype V10 Mustang. I should know about that, really, shouldn't I?
How about mine? It's a true story. Daytona won Smokey won the Daytona race when everyone else ran out of gear. No, what happened was he took the fuel tank out of the car and then drove it to the shop. Without a fuel tank, just the fuel that was in the car, hidden in the car.
In the lines, all right.
Jamie is planning something. I hope he is. Mm-hmm. I never want to lose, but I tell you the truth, I'd have an ear-to-ear smile if I followed his taillights through, because I really don't think he can do it. But if he can, I'll be his biggest fan.
Tony should build a land speed record Jeep with stock drivetrain.
We don't have anything like that close to us. When I was a kid, I loved the idea of trying out, El Mirage or Bonneville, but it's so far removed from here. You know what I mean? It's fascinating. It's interesting. We have a local guy. His name is George Poteet. He's up in, I think he's in Hendersonville, and he's got records on the land speed records on the salt and the dirt of El Mirage. I would love to meet him at some point. And he runs early Hemis, Kiwi. He's got a Ford Chrysler.
He's a high dollar hot rodder, isn't he? George Poteet. He's had a number of very high end hot rods built.
Has he? I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
I worked with a guy, and Dave Kixmiller. He had a S10 land speed.
Where did he run it?
Out in Utah at the dry lake.
Yeah, that's a 4,000 mile round trip.
Right.
I have a hard time getting on my driveway.
but El Mirage is it's a sand trap outside of Victorville, so it's really not the destination point. The Salt Lake's pretty impressive. So
I have someplace, I think it's upstairs, I have a chunk of El Mirage. The first time I went to California was in 1986, 86 or 87. I went to Pomona, and we spent a few days there. Obviously, we were there for the race, but we spent a few days bouncing around. And I wasn't with a car; I was there doing magazine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we did was we went to 223rd and Alameda and tried to find where Lyon's drag strip was, and we found the actual location. I was with my buddy Neil Van Opry, and we found where the track was. There was a fence. We climbed the fence. We were just roaming around the grounds, and at the end of the property, we saw piles of just debris that was just piled up. And we walked over there, and we realized it was chunks of asphalt. So we start pulling off these pieces of asphalt, and I found one that actually had rubber over the top of it. It was an identifiable chunk of drag strip. So I broke off a piece of that, and I brought that home in my, the carry-on luggage. This is back when I used to fly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, we went to El Mirage, and I picked up a chunk of El Mirage. So the piece of Lions, over the years, I cut that up, and I gave it to friends of mine back when I was drag racing. Everybody got a chunk of Lions. It was like it was your birthday or you won something, it was an occasion. I gave you a chunk of Lions. So that's all gone. But I still have that piece of El Mirage upstairs someplace. And for you guys that don't know, El Mirage is really the birthplace of what we call drag racing today. That was before they did anything, before there was any drag strips, right? Even the pre-war, before World War II, they were running out there at El Mirage, and that's where drag racing eventually evolved from.
Yeah, they took all the flatheads out to El Mirage and rode them. Yep, stripped everything off of them, took as much off the car they could, and then raced their buddies in the sand.
Rust beaters and derelicts. Kiwi, Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of Burt Munro, was it accurate? Look, I never met the guy, so as far, was that his personality? I couldn't say. But as far as sounding like a Kiwi, sounding like a New Zealander, I think he did a fantastic portrayal. He was excellent. He had the accents down, the little Kiwiisms. It was absolutely nuts on. He did a stellar job.
Thumper says best he could do was a chunk of the Berlin Wall on my shelf. I was stationed there in '89.
Oh wow, that'd be cool.
It's probably more significant than my chunk El Mirage.
I think so. Even for a hot rod guy,
Let's see. Zero is saying, you mean Bert was a serial killer? He might have been.
I don't believe so, no.
You see Barracuda right below that one.
This one, bear in mind, the Kiwis in the Deep South talk differently to the rest of the country.
They do actually, yeah. Like the Invercargillites, or the people that live in Invercargill, have a definitely different, in Lower South Island, do have a slightly different accent. But like, New Yorkers and people from LA, they sound quite different. Costs. Eric Urkos. California is still number one. Just ask Kiwi and Steve. Yep. I like California. I got no issues with California. I like it.
There are parts of California that are just breathtakingly beautiful. I stayed in the high desert for a week. I was up for the editor of Superstock magazine. I stayed at Al Kirschenbaum's place. And
right.
Oh God, that was beautiful out there. But man, some of it is just like really, really rude.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mexican speak. No, actually, yeah, we had a good time in LA. Like, we were anxious to get moving, to get on the road, but no, that wasn't because of LA. That was just because we spent a lot of time.
Well, you weren't in LA. You were in San Diego.
Well, with San Diego, true.
It's a whole different planet from
It is, yeah. But LA is, I've spent a little bit of time in LA, and I like it there. And Mrs. Kiwi really likes it too.
Yeah, but what it was and what it currently is, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of videos. There's a fellow named, Metal Leo is his name. Metal Leo. He was a car guy, and he started doing these walking videos in different areas. And he's been doing walking tours of he's done he did Beverly Hills, he did Hollywood, he did one of the main drags through Los Angeles, and it's like everything is closed. It's like he'll just walk block after block after block after block, and it's just empty store after empty store after empty store after empty store, and the couple of times that I was there, night and day complete. I remember when I was there, Hollywood was a real dive. Right? And it wasn't what you pictured. But this is back in like the 80s, late 80s.
Right.
It wasn't what you pictured. It was like it was seedy. And now it's like it's blown out. There's no open stores. Everything is just abandoned. So, and yet, like 6 blocks away, you have these multi-million-dollar condos and
Mega Millions, yeah.
Yeah.
Barry Curtis says he'd love to drive the California Coast Highway. That is a beautiful drive.
Yep,
that is a beautiful drive. Pacific Coast Highway, yeah.
That was funny though, because I remember we were driving up the Pacific Coast Highway, and as you're driving, you see all of these towns that because they're like historic, like this beach and that beach, and right, and you're looking for it, and it's like you can't see it because from the Pacific Coast Highway, you think you'd be able to see the beaches and all that, and all these famous landmarks. You can't. It's just like there's buildings and buildings and buildings. You don't really get to, you're passing through these areas, but you don't really get to experience them.
Right. Jeff Hutchins, California is great. It's half of the people that are there that are suck. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that is what makes the difference here, is the people.
Yeah, if you got rid of half the people out there, it'd be nice. It's too many people out there.
Yeah, the problem is those people are going to end up coming here.
They already did.
They are, right?
There's millions more of them here. It's disgusting.
Yeah, not a lot of love for Californians here in Tennessee, is there?
No.
Zero saying only some of us have a view of the ocean from the Pacific Coast Highway.
Right.
Mm.
If you can live on the Pacific Coast Highway with a view, you've got some coin.
Yeah.
You've got some serious coin. So Zero must be the big money man here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's working on Rivians, isn't he? That's why he's making the big bucks.
No, it's Ari that works on the Rivian.
Oh, it's Ari. Sorry. Yeah.
Zero's just independently wealthy.
Mm.
He's saying, I ain't got shit. Nah, you're modest, Zero. Come on.
Zero says 80s hookers everywhere on in the 80s, hookers everywhere on Hollywood Boulevard. 90s cleaned up. Now hookers everywhere. How do you know so much about hookers? Yeah. Like, seem to know a lot about the hookers there, Zero. Just saying. Clutch Kicker saying, Kiwi, how did you end up stateside? We applied for the green, entered into the green card lottery. The US used to have, they don't now, but they used to have a green card lottery where you put your name down online, and if your name got pulled out of the computerized hat, you got to apply for a green card. People tended to think that you won a green card. You didn't. You won the right to just apply. Because typically, if you go down and say, "Hey, I want to come to America. Will you have me?" They'll go, "No." Like, you don't even get to apply. But yeah, this green card lottery, gave you the right to apply, and then if you met the right, certain criteria, like you get all sorts of criminal background checks, and you've got to be making so much money, and you've got to bring a certain skill level with you, and that's all done on points. I was lucky. Mrs. Kiwi she was a nurse at the time, and nurses score very well, so she helped immensely on that front. Whereas me, hot rod builders, it's like, we got lots of them. We're not that interested in hot rod builders, but they like nurses. So, it's who you know, not what you know.
Oh, a tech question.
Tech question.
What
a surprising thing to happen on a Tech Talk Live. Running Hard. Hey guys, trying to build a hot street 1985 318 for pump gas. Want to get 1101 compression with 302 heads and a modest 340 cam to keep static compression low. what pistons do you recommend? Well, a modest 340 cam to keep static compression low.
11-1 isn't low, is it?
Well, static, that's dynamic compression. Oh, no. Yeah. What am I saying? The cam won't affect the static compression. The cam affects dynamic compression.
Right.
So all right. Never mind that. What pistons to get 11-1 compression with 3 or 2 heads? Well, it's a closed chamber head. Any zero deck piston is going to do it for you. If it's not a crazy motor, the KB Hyper-Eutectics are probably the best deal out there. What do you think about that, Dr. Art?
I think this is your territory, and it sounds absolutely perfect answer.
There you go.
Should have been a politician. Cheers.
And Kiwi just doesn't care. So yeah, that's but Brendan, for the record, right? Static compression is that 11-1. The static compression is just the swept area of the piston, right? Okay, that's the only thing that I'm making, shadow figures in front of.
Just making a dog in the background. You're doing that camel thing, like.
I just completely distracted myself. I have no idea what I was even talking about. Let me go back and read the question.
Oh dear.
Brain damage is hard. I'm thinking,
okay. Put it this way, Brendan. At least you didn't do a super chat, so you haven't wasted any money.
Yeah.
So static compression has nothing to do with the camshaft. Static compression is just the swept area of the piston as opposed to the combustion chamber area. The dynamic compression is where the cam comes in, and the bigger the cam, and I use that's like the broadest term you could possibly use. Okay, but the bigger the cam, the lower the dynamic compression, if that makes any sense, right? So your cam has nothing to do with static compression. Static compression is just the height of the piston and the size of the combustion chamber.
Go to something.
End of time.
Yeah,
sorry. Go on,
no. Get end of time and then go right above end of time with Greg after you do end of time.
All right. Can I marry my way into the USA? Parts cost too much in Canada. Save your money and buy all the parts you can from Canada. It'll be a lot cheaper than getting a wife. But actual answer is yes, you can marry your way into the States. Barracuda, New Zealand is also expensive. Hell yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe the last time I was there working on my old man's Mustang. I couldn't believe the prices and stuff. It's high.
Tuesday 28. I've had Keithbach hyper pistons and a couple of engines. Excuse me, they did their job. They're good pistons. They're weird pistons. That big gap between the rings, but they do work. Loud. They tend to be loud too. But then again, I build engines very, very loose because I like my engines very, very loose. So they all tend to make noise like that. But they rev like chainsaws. Let's see.
Urkos wants to know what kind of bourbon I'm drinking. That would be Angel's Envy. White Burt, what were the larger US V8 mills available in New Zealand and Australia in the 60s and 70s? Probably the 350 Chevy was about as big as it got. There might have been a few privately imported, like big blocks, 396s and stuff. But the price of gas has always driven engine sizes down in Australia and New Zealand because it's always been about 4 times the price that it is here. It's just seriously like $12, $13 a gallon in New Zealand now for gas. Smaller engines were always kind of the rule. But yeah, we got a few 350s and some of the Holdens in the 70s. So about that 5.7 litre was about it really.
James Jennings says he predicts Jamie is going to take away my milk money. Honestly, I'm telling you, if I follow his taillights through the stripe, man, it's like I'll have the biggest smile on the grounds. So, I hope he can do it. I'm going to throw everything I can at it. But I honestly hope he can do it.
Here's a tech question. Here's a tech question, Tony. Is there any correlation between how much timing you can run and compression?
Yes. The higher the compression ratio, the less timing, the less tolerant the engine will be of excessive timing, and that's where fuels come in. There's no correlation between speed of flame front and compression. Actually, compression might be a hindrance to flame front depending on how dense the mixture is. But that's where your higher octane fuels come in. The whole purpose of octane, the octane rating of a fuel is its resistance to detonation. So let's just say you've got a 10-to-1 compression engine that runs good at 34 degrees. You go to 12-to-1, don't change the fuel, keep 34 degrees. Now you've got an engine that's prone to detonation. And that's where the higher octane fuel comes in. And then you get to extremes where you got 15-to-1 compression and 38 degrees of lead. And that's where you use your race gas and all of that shit. So did I answer that right? Or did I lose?
No, you're right on the money there.
Right?
Yep. Stray Bullet wants to know if he can marry his way out of the United States. Well, it depends whether you're already married or not, really. Yeah.
Hey, look, more technical questions. Jesus. Okay. Are lightened flywheels and crankshaft pulleys dampers worth it to make an engine rev easier? Yes, and possibly no.
If you just wanted to rev, vumba, oh, absolutely.
Right, and if you're pulling a steady load, yes, absolutely. But if you're talking about in a drag car situation with a stick, then an excessively lightened drivetrain may not work for you. But it'll slow you down because it's the inertia of the flywheel. One of the purposes of the flywheel is to create inertia. If you're coming off the clutch, that inertia from the flywheel helps get the car moving without pulling the motor down. So generally speaking, when an automatic, right? Yes, lighten flywheel, lighten everything. Light is always better. But especially certain types of drag cars, like for instance, if you go back to like the modified production days when they were running, 260, 270 inch, small blocks in 3,600 pound cars and leaving it like 11,000 RPM. Those things had huge, heavy flywheels just for that purpose. The motor didn't have enough inertia to pull it, so they needed the motor to spin up the crazy flywheel, and then the crazy flywheel was used to launch the car. So it's all dependent on the situation. Did I answer that right? I don't even know. I get halfway through answering a question. I think what the question was, so I just keep going.
Your drag racing formulas kind of go against a lot of what I know, but with the way you explain them, they do actually make sense. I'm used to like little 4-banger engines in rallying with very light, like aluminum flywheels with a little steel center in them. Very hard to get rolling. But the standing start when you're rallying or circuit racing is like 0.1% of the race.
Exactly, and in drag racing, your standing start is 0.99.
98% of the race. Yeah. I want to say, you're wrong, but actually you're right. But we're kind of both right.
Yes,
because they are such.
It depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, there's such a different form of motorsport. Drag racing is just its own science, completely of its own.
So, like the difference between you and I is that when I'm posed a question, right, either by somebody else or through in my own head, when a question comes up, my default circumstance is always acceleration, and you for your default setting is always moving already.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But right, we're just coming from different perspectives.
Yeah, and it's a matter of having the right combination for what you're trying to do. But a very lightweight engine does sound awesome when you're revving it, when you're just free revving it. Like, that what? Like,
well, that's why I build
awesome.
my engines. Anytime I build a motor for myself, you build a motor for somebody else, it's a whole different thing, okay? But when you build it for yourself, you understand that it's going to do certain things. It's going to make certain noises. It's going to have certain characteristics. But that's why I build everything of my own as loose as possible. You know what I mean? And just things just flop around. And the pistons are backwards, and they're rocking in their bores, and they're loose in their bores. Anytime I have an engine bored for myself, it's always 10 over with a standard ring, or 40 over with a 30 ring. I want that extra piston and wall clearance. I don't care if the shit's making noise. It's loose and it's happy. Reversing the piston offset does the same thing. Whenever I have a crankshaft ground for myself, I always throw an extra 1,000 of oil clearance in it. So it's supposed to be, it's like 1.5 thousandths, like a 2.5 thousandths. I always go for that extra, like take things to the loosest possible part of the spectrum. And when you do that, the engine's just like you've heard my engines. It's like wing, you know what I mean? And I like them loose like that.
Now, Riffraff Rackus asked, how many cubic inches is a 400 bored 30 over with a 455 crank? So I guess he's talking Pontiac.
It could be talking anything with Buick, Olds, or Pontiac.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's how you do this. Bore times stroke times 6.2832, right? So you're changing the bore. You're adding 30 thousandths to the bore, right? So you're going to figure out your cubic inch in the engine. You go bore times bore and add your 30 thousandths to each of those. So it's bore plus 30 plus, or bore plus 30 times bore plus 30 plus times stroke. Did I say plus times stroke times 6.2832, and you'll have your cubic inches.
There you
go. Let's see. That's my brother, Normal James. Tony, is anything produced in 1962 still running at the top of its game, or is it an obvious decline in performance? No, I can think of one thing that was produced in '62 that's still going strong. The truth, Tony, would a looser engine produce less compression? Not at. So yes, at lower RPM, at idle, yeah, you're going to have more. There's going to be more leak in a loose motor. But once things begin cycling at higher RPM, operating RPM, let's say above 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 RPM, then the cycling happens so quickly that the leak is negligible. It doesn't exist for all intents and purposes. You remember, oil will fill those gaps. So think about it this way, right? At a higher RPM, so let's say you've built an engine with what would be considered to be excessive piston or wall clearance, right? At idle, at low speed, there isn't a lot of oil being thrown around. The piston will tend to rock around a little bit, which is bad for sealing. But now RPM comes up, and the cylinder walls become washed with oil. They become covered with oil. And that oil now fills the gap between the skirt and the cylinder wall and holds the piston steady. And you don't get that at the lower RPM. That's why engines will make noise. You have an engine, let's say, with forged pistons and a very loose, very big piston and wall clearance. They'll make a hellacious racket at idle, or just sit there. But now the RPM comes up, the oil is just thrown everywhere in the crankcase. And now that oil fills the gap between the skirt and the cylinder wall and holds the piston steady. And this is why race engines with very loose clearances are able to run all day long at 6,000, 7,000 RPM and just be happy as a pig in shit, because the oil is holding the piston steady. Nice.
Hand sozzle. You can run a two-stroke without piston rings at high RPM. Yeah. Particularly on a small engine, you can. Yeah. But high RPMs, you're talking about like 12,000 up.
Fun Kids
12 to 18.
Fun Kids says, y'all are dumb as hell. Thank you.
Okay. I've been told that before, but hey.
Yeah.
Barracuda, when cross hatching gets worn down, what then? Piston don't care about no cross hatching.
Bony fingers, Kiwi, do you do front end alignment? No, I don't. No, don't have an alignment machine.
But you do know you do your own basic alignments. I've seen.
Yeah, I'll eyeball them in and tape measure them and stuff. Yeah, get them down the road to a proper, high dollar machine. Yeah. D-Truth, Kiwi, do they emission test in Australia? Actually, I don't know. I know they kind of do it in New Zealand. If it's blowing too much smoke out the tailpipe, then it fails emissions. That's a true story. If it's too smoky out the tailpipe, then it fails your emission test. It's a visual emission test. Because the places that do the safety inspections don't have the money for a fancy emissions reader.
So Steve Machurg is saying, oh wait, no, where was that? There he is. If the crosshatch is gone, the engine is junk. To an extent.
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh because there's lots of engines out there that have nearly 99% of the crosshatch completely gone, and they run just fine.
There's engines out there with 5 and 8 thou wear in the bores, and the crosshatch is long gone, and they're still running.
Yeah, they run fine.
Mm-hmm.
Are they new? No. Are they junk? Not really. Some are. Some are run their course, but you can have a reasonable amount of wear in an engine and they still be fine, still be okay.
One of the things with crosshatch, the crosshatch is permanently there for a reason, and that's to hold a film of oil that the rings will ride off of. But in my mind, I always think of the crosshatch as something that's there for the break-in period. Like the crosshatch is always going to be there. But the crosshatch and the texture of the crosshatch is really important when seating the rings. So like a cast ring, it needs a rough finish, a rough bore finish, the crosshatch. And through the first couple, you ever start a fresh engine, a cast ring engine, the first, let's say 30 seconds that it's running, the headers are glowing cherry red. The heat is just blowing off of this thing. And that's the rings cutting the crosshatch and the rings cutting into each other and finding that home. That's when they seat the rings. And then you build an engine with stainless rings or moly rings and use almost no texture to the board. It's a very fine finish, and there's no friction or anything like that. So in my mind, the finish of the bore is really more for that, or the crosshatch is really more for the initial break-in and the seating of the rings. And then after that, its purpose is kind of dubious. It'll hold oil, but the oil's going to be there anyway. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a film of oil in cylinder walls anywhere, whether it's a crosshatch or not. So I wouldn't say it's junk if it's a crosshatch. That's another one I just ran off a fucking tangent. I do that.
Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's gonna.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin did a super chat. You missed a super chat there, Tony. Anything going on this week in Nashville?
Good God, I missed a super chat.
What's going on this weekend? There's cars and coffees all around the place on Saturdays.
I think we just missed the one over here. It's supposed to be the first Saturday. The one at the
yeah, the one.
Yeah, that was last weekend. Yeah.
There's one every weekend in Franklin. And yeah, there's hot rod shows every weekend somewhere around Nashville, Greater Nashville. you know.
The best hot rod show in all of Nashville is at Kiwi's shop. So if you're anywhere near Nashville, I recommend that you just drop by Kiwi's shop. At any time, you'll see the best hot rod show in. Am I right, Dr. Art?
You're right, but if you're a stranger, you better bring a bottle or you might get shot.
Bourbon, yes.
We'll sit Kev onto them.
Yeah, because if he had a little too much the night before, he might be a little cranky, and you know.
It has been known to happen. Mm.
What is your take on building a 383 with a 440 crank? That's the legendary 451. It's like the perfect combination. It's what Chrysler should have done, and they would have done. The ball stud Hemi was actually supposed to be that combination. It was the low deck block, 400 block with the 440 crank, and then those ball stud heads, which are actually big block Chevy heads. That would have been the next step in the evolution of the Chrysler big block if they had continued on that path. So, but that stroker, that 383 or 400 block with the 440 crank. So with a 383, you get a 426, the 4 1/4 bore and 3 3/4 inch stroke. With a 400 block, you get a 451. Is it 451? Whatever it is.
I've heard of the 451 before, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what a 30 overbore. 451 is what a 30 overbore. I think, I don't know. It's an inch or two. It doesn't make a difference. But that 383 with the 440 crank is just a low deck 426, and it's geometrically the best possible combination for a big block Chrysler, providing you use the short rods. Some people build it with a long rod, and you're giving away all your torque. If you build it with a long rod, you're defeating the purpose of using the short deck.
John's just asking, just found out you shouldn't use a heavy-duty scrub pads on the surface of cylinder heads. Should I just throw my cylinder head away? That's a new one on me.
No, the roll locks on cylinder heads, yeah, you'll mess them up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, roll lock, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to throw them away. Take them, get them surfaced.
You can get them surfaced.
Yeah, they get nice little baby cut on them, and they'll be fine, good to go.
I mean, if you used a fine, I mean, I'm not saying it's good to do under any circumstances, but if you use a fine pad and you didn't really dig into it, you just kind of like went over it quickly, you might be all right. Use a straight edge and a light. You know, lay a straight edge over the deck, right? Wherever you did your thing, okay? Lay a straight edge over it and then shine a light from the other side and see if you see any light between the straight edge and the surface that you did. If you don't see any light, you're fine. If you did see light, drop it off at a machine shop and let them surface it. And what they'll probably do is drop it on a conveyor belt, a sandpaper conveyor belt. It's not called a conveyor belt. What do they call that?
A belt sander.
A belt sander. Belt sander. I'll drop it on a belt sander, hold it there for 5 or 6 seconds, and then that's it. It's done. So you'll be fine.
I was thinking he meant like a red Scotch Brite or something, like a hand pad.
No, you're not going to do nothing with a hand pad.
You're not going to do nothing with one of those. But heavy duty scrub pads, I guess if it's on an air tool, then you're going to remove too much material for sure.
Well, I mean, it also depends too. If let's say you're raging and you've got that retard strain or whatever, you could get you know what I mean? That happens.
Yeah, and the politically correct police are closing in.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said the politically correct police are closing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's okay.
They're going to get me eventually.
Yeah.
Kiwi. Do they still use gorilla hair for bodywork?
What he's talking about is long strand filler. Yeah, they do absolutely. Yeah. I'll use long strand or gorilla here on where there's body, like factory body seams, like where the roof joins the quarter, and you've got an area there which back in the day they would have used lead filler. I'll use it on those joints like that, just rough it in and then finish it off with a conventional body filler. But but that can help. That helps control movement, and because it's super strong, it's not going to crack and move the same way. And there's a lot more resin. It sticks like nothing else. But it's quite expensive stuff. You use that. You don't use that stuff for filling dents. You use it for filling, factory joins in panels, where it's 1/4 inch thick over an indented join. So they still do.
Mike Batista, forged pistons and lots of crosshatch. The piston has nothing to do with the cylinder wall finish. It's the ring that has to do with cylinder wall finish. So
the piston shouldn't really be touched. Hopefully, it's not touching the bore too much.
The piston should never really touch the bore. The piston is going to run on a film of oil that's stuck. That's why skirts have those lines in them, right? And some of them have patterns in them. It's to hold oil. Mike, the type of piston has nothing to do with the crosshatch. The type of ring has to do with the crosshatch. And you see, like a cast ring, rough crosshatch, a stainless ring, or a moly ring, fine crosshatch. Oh yeah, have you guys seen this thing? Have you guys seen the VW Type 2 gas called Too Cool? It has an 8-cylinder made from 2 air-cooled VW engines. Have you guys seen this thing?
No.
It is just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to find a picture of it. You guys go ahead and do that.
Oh, okay.
Tell you what I think is quite cool is I've seen a couple on YouTube, a couple of these hot rods in Europe. They seem to like doing it, putting a V8 2-stroke outboard motor, like an Evinrude or something. They made a V8 2-stroke, and they convert that to automotive use. Like with 8 of those huge tapered, like this long, like expansion pipes on them.
Mm-hmm.
But eight of them, just the work in the exhaust system is like.
Well, that's got to sound insane once you.
It does.
It comes up on the pipe, yeah.
It sounds phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure how what the torque and tractability of it's like, but.
So that's the car.
Okay. Volkswagen variant, we call those. Yeah.
All right, that's the car.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get you the engine. Here's another view of the car. That's just beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. Now here, wait.
Yeah.
This is just badass. So here it is. So that's 2 Volkswagen motors
paired together.
Good grief.
It's awesome. That's just awesome. It's so much creativity.
So that's like a horizontally opposed 8-cylinder.
Yeah. It's like a boxer 8.
Yeah.
Air cooled and
The creativity and the engineering behind that and the execution is just amazing. Like that's one of the most impressive cars I've ever seen.
And that's in Europe somewhere?
I don't know where it is.
Okay.
It's someplace.
The Europeans are pretty crazy. Like
Arizona.
some of the countries that are hard to even pronounce. They're doing some wild hot roddy stuff.
Arizona. Here. This is great. Here's a picture of the side view of the engine.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
I wonder what it sounds like. Because I mean, those flat fours have a sound of their own anyway. Without
it sounds bitching. Watch there's a few YouTube videos on it, but that car is one of the most interesting and impressive cars I think I've ever seen.
The reason regular Volkswagen sounds so funny, Kiwi, is because the runners are all different lengths. If you make it equal length headers for like a regular Volkswagen Bug, it changes the sound. That sounds completely cool.
Huh?
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So what about the Subaru Flat 4, the Boxer 4? Because they sound really good. They have quite a cool sound of the
they're just a different.
They sound depending on how they're being used. They either sound really good or like they're in pain. Pontiacs are the same way. We used to say that all the time about Pontiacs when we were kids. You know, they sound like they're in pain.
From that Siamese exhaust port, yeah.
Kiwi, do they crosshatch left-handed in New Zealand? Good grief.
I suppose you could. It wouldn't change anything.
No.
But then you'd have to get a left-handed hone, which are rare.
I'd say it would be, yeah. Eric's just taking the piss, as Tony likes to say.
I'm always taking the piss. So yeah, yesterday we went out to a farm, right? So you know, Winnie, my border collie, she's learning how to chase sheep now. Okay, so we went out to this farm so she could chase sheep, and she's just amazing. Like she was born to do this. Right? It's crazy enough, border collie chasing sheep. So we have a friend named Paula who has Winnie's brother. Okay, and it looks just like Winnie, right? But it's boy. And I walk over to his name is Tag, and I walked over to him, and I'm petting him, and he throws himself on his back, and he just starts pissing all over me, right? Like all over my arm and everything. And Paul is like, you know, you're the only one he does that to. Honored. Drives me so pissed. But it's an honor. I'm glad he doesn't do that.
Tick Wednesday.
Yeah.
Don't get any ideas, Kiwi.
Yeah.
Jeff Hutchins, Kiwi doesn't have a gun. You are correct, sir. I don't have a gun.
He has a lot of guns.
No.
He's loaded. He's got guns everywhere.
Joe K wants to know what the latest on the TA Challenger at Kiwi shoppers. I drove it today for the first time, and it was honestly disappointing. And Uncle Tony there up the... What's that? Don't say that. Yeah, well, Tony's coming over, and it's like it was kind of a case of, you know, why have a dog and bark yourself? When why try and figure it out when I can get Tony over there, who knows them backwards, and we'll see what's up with it. But it doesn't. It's lazy. It's just lazy. It goes pretty good, but I mean, and to be fair, I haven't got anything to compare it to. But I would have thought it would be It's a 15-second car at best.
There's stuff there you can,
no, it's just flat. It sounds flat, and it's like putting a timing light on it. It's doing a few funny things. So, tomorrow is another day, and we're going to get to the bottom of that one. But what sort of time would that have done on the quarter mile as a stock car, that TA?
Bottom 14s with a good driver, high 13s. Right. They were pretty potent for what they were.
Yeah. Right now, I don't think it's more than a mid 15 car.
Yeah. Tomorrow morning, we'll fix that.
Oh, we'll get it. But I mean, just ask the question, what's the latest? That's the latest. I drove it tonight thinking I'll do a wrap-up video and post it. And it's like, this isn't very exciting. There's something not quite right here. Oh, yeah. There you go. That's the update.
Louis Calderon, Tony, if you were tasked with building a cheap nostalgic answer, what car would you use and which engine platform would you use? We've already done it. That's what Slaghammer is. So Slaghammer is a 1970 Dodge D100 pickup truck, frame, chassis, suspension, everything, shortened 20 inches, and then we mounted the 67 Valiant body to it, and with a 383. I don't think. In fact, I know we don't have $4,000 in that whole car, soup to nuts. So that's the cheapest possible way you could build something like that.
I'm going to have a cheap B-Maxwell for sale soon.
Don't you dare, Kiwi. Don't go there, Kiwi.
Yeah, especially after I custom that thing for a considerable length of time for the brakes today. So.
Oh, really? They're giving you a bit of grief?
Oh, and the stupidest thing, because all the lines came off, relatively easily and stuff like that. On the rear brake, the soft line, there's a clip that holds that into on the frame.
And it spun.
No, it didn't spun. I can't get it out. Oh. And of course I undid the line first, so it's dripping brake fluid on me as I'm cussing and vice gripping and everything else in that thing. Now you can spin it, but I gave up and I went inside. It was too hot, so I'll finish it up tomorrow.
Mark Suave.
That's the horseshoe clip you can't get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Never had that happen in my life, but this one's just.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's set for a little while. It's set.
I can move it, and it's loose, and it's the weirdest thing because it's loose on the hose, and but I'm cranking on that thing. Or maybe it was me. Maybe I was just tired and hot, and I just said, "F it," and do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Suave, what was the TA engine de-stroke to achieve 305? Yes, TA engine is a stock bore 340 with a de-stroke crank, and it uses the stock connecting rods and special pistons that have a very low pin. But yeah, that's what those are. Bill McHeiska, thank you for the super chat, my brother. Do any of you all know or watch the channel Greg's Airplanes and Automobiles? I can't say I've ever heard of it. I think you'd be a really cool guest on the Wednesday Night Tech Talk if you can get a hold of him. He's very knowledgeable and a great guy. I'm
yeah, we'll check him out. Yeah.
Let's see. Beagle wants to know, Dr. Art, have you ever messed with a VCT and aftermarket tuning? Does anybody know if you need a new cam gear hardware to get rid of VCT, thinking of Coyote or Godzilla crate motors?
No, I have not. Fortunately. No, haven't done with that variable cam timing and stuff like that. No, it's not that hard of an adjustment because it's just, run by oil pressure and when to kick it in, when to take it off and stuff like that. It's a pretty linear thing, but to date I have not. But that doesn't mean, it won't happen tomorrow. I put a Dodge 5.7 Hemi with a stage 2 cam tuning video out today, and it crapped the bed. Jeez.
Really?
Oh yeah, just.
What's the video now?
I did a video on a Dodge 5.7 Hemi in a Durango, and the adjustments you need to make when you put a big cam in it, because if you don't do any adjustments, it won't idle and stuff, and how to adjust all the air and stuff. And broke it down pretty easily. I thought it was okay and fair, and a lot of people would want to know about this.
How many views does that have?
Let me see. After you check it after the first 4 hours and you get that 9 of 10, you're just like, oh.
9 of 10 isn't bad. It's when the 10 of 10 pops up and it's like, oh.
That's probably 10 of 10 by now. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah. People who regularly watch your channel have less interest in this video. Yeah. It's only 7 of 10 now, but.
Well, that's not bad.
It's okay. It's got good comments and things like that. So, but I was like,
dude, they can't all be winners.
Oh, I know.
And some of that stuff you got to chalk up to evergreen content. Because I have videos that I put out years ago, literally years ago, that just didn't go anywhere. It was like, oh, okay, well, this is a turd. And then 2 years later, 3 years later, it gets shared into a loop. And then the YouTube algorithm says, oh, here's a popular video, and starts sharing it around, and all of a sudden, bam, you know what I mean? But that type of thing really only happens with technically oriented videos. So just chalk it up to evergreen content and move on.
Oh, I know, but I had higher hopes for that. But you know how that goes. You throw some crap up there and it takes off, and you put some thought into it. Yeah, you didn't go anywhere. Yeah,
it's hard to know. Yeah.
So,
or you spend 2 hours editing the damn thing, and then it bombs you.
Mike Harrington is saying should do a video on fast cars. So fast is a race series factory appearing stock tire. That's what fast means for you guys who aren't aware. Large segment think they are truly stock cars running in the 10s. They run better than the 10s. They're running in the 9s. On 7-inch wide polyglass bias ply tires. So right before we started doing YouTube, we were doing a podcast called Uncle Tony's Garage. Hot name for a podcast. And I had oh God, why can't I think of his name? Dave Dudek. I had Dave Dudek on. And Dudek runs a 9-second Hemi Roadrunner. So this thing is like literally this is a 4,000-pound Roadrunner, dog dish hubcaps, stock steel wheels, stock size tires. I mean, stock exhaust manifolds, stock quiet exhaust, stock carburetors, stock intake manifold, like just stock everything, sound stock, look stock. And it was at the time he was running like 990s with it or 980s. He had just gotten through 980s. And we did a whole 2-hour podcast with him, like dissecting every little bit of that car and the package, what was in there. So yeah, I do need to revisit that, and I would like to get together again with Dave. What a great guy! Very free flowing with information. He talked about like as much as he could talk about, given the competitive nature of what he's doing, and that's a good idea. I'll get a hold of him soon. I think I still have his number someplace.
That sounds like fun. Green Bean. If you were to put a turbo on a 460 Ford, would you go blow through carb or find a fuel injection kit, pump gas build?
Where was that now?
It's up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, 8:31 about 4 minutes ago. I don't know. What do you think on that one, Dr. Art? I'm thinking fuel inject. Well,
I'm thinking fuel injection because I've played with blow through carbs, and they'll drive you crazy. They'll drive you crazy.
Yeah, they're problematic, aren't they?
They'll just even if you spend the money for a good one, it's never good all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I would just put a regular intake manifold and drill it for bungs, and put a crank trigger on the dampener and run a cheap aftermarket fuel injection system and call it good, especially on a boosted application.
Yeah, well, Truckflow make a manifold all set up for injection on the 460.
Yeah, you just take that.
That's what I've got on mine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you could certainly blow into that intake manifold.
Oh yeah.
So, and then you could still run it with a distributor too. Mine runs a distributor. The Holly Terminator that's on it just runs the fuel mat.
Yeah. But it's I mean, if you could build your own blow through carb and you're good at that, you don't mind constantly playing with it. It's be way cheaper. But
yeah.
But then you still need the fuel pumps and the regulators and the boost reference regulator and all the stuff. You might as well just make it fuel injected right away.
And they look ugly as hell, that box that goes on the carburetor for the blow through, don't it?
Yeah, or you can just use a regular elbow on it and stuff like that instead of the big box, which is fine for blow through.
But you have to pressurize the fuel bowls though, don't you?
Yeah, it's a hat that sits on top of just like a regular, the circle part for the air cleaner. It covers the vents. You just run some tubes out into the vents and stuff like that. So it pressurizes all at once, and you block off the bottom so the power valve's inactive, and feed it that way. It's pretty easy to do, but it's again, then you have to get the right floats and the right needle and seat, and then you have to have the fuel system that is goes up with your boost pressure and da 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 da. So.
Mark Suave is saying Don McCallum was the first NHRA super stock to run in the 8s with his Hemi Barracuda. Hess won a bit quicker in the same event and got the title. John Bachman ran in the 8s before any of those guys did, but he did it at a points meet. He did that at Cecil County, not Cecil County, Maple Grove. He did that at Maple Grove. I was there that day. I don't think it was Don McCallum. Green Bean, super chat from Green Bean. Thank you, sir. I don't have to eat cat food tomorrow. The Turbo 460 Ford will also be a drag and drive car. It will be absolutely everywhere. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, fuel injection.
but
yeah, 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 and don't go exotic. Just use parts you can get anywhere, especially in the drag and drive. So you're in the middle of Iowa or someplace else like that. You can get a part to put in it.
Barry Curt is asking, whatever happened to the Predator carburetor? Are they still making those?
I've told that story a bunch of times. Yeah, Super Stock AA, Mark. I told the Predator carburetor.
Oh, there goes Tony.
Oh, he froze. Tony froze.
Oh, well.
You're back.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back.
You did the Back to the Future Predator story, the timeline.
I've told the Predator story a bunch of times. I worked for a guy named Dale Barlett. He had a fuel funny car called the Century Eagle. So I spent a year working with this guy. I got him qualified at his first NHRA national event, which opened all kinds of doors for me. This was back in 1990, I think it was, or whatever. But make a long story short, Dale, who was the most miserable human I have ever encountered, so bad in fact, that after the race up in Canada, I actually got out of the truck in Canada and hitchhiked my way back to New York City because I would not ride another inch in the vehicle with him. But he owned Predator carburetors at the time. And the shop where we built the funny car, because I had to build the funny car because he had burned this thing to the ground, like badly, and burnt himself to the ground. He was so burnt up, Barlett was, this is the guy who owned Predator carburetors, that when they thought he was dead after the fire, because it was such an intense fire and he wasn't moving and the body melted onto the car. So after they dragged the car out of the way and put the fire out and peeled the body off, he wasn't moving. So they figured he was dead. So they went to pull his body out of the car, and all of the skin from the back of his neck to his ankles stayed in the car. So he was in the burn unit for, I guess, like almost a year, right? So make a long story short, when he got out, he wanted to rebuild the car. So I says, well, here's a challenge. I'll get Dale Barlett running. So that's what I did. I spent the better part of a year putting his whole operation back together again, and then brought it up to Canada and got him qualified at his first NHRA national event. Why am I telling you all of this? Because while I was building the car, I was literally on the other side of the shop, same open space as the Predator carburetor operation, where he made all of the parts for the Predator carburetors. Well, yeah, every little bit, 100% of it was fabricated in-house in that shop. That said, I never touched one because at the time I had I was deep in the nitro sickness. It was all I could think about. It was all I cared about. And what the hell do you do to a carburetor? What's the carburetor? I don't know what that is. So I never touched the damn things. But that's my association with Predator carburetors. I could be touching the machinery making the Predator carburetors right now.
They were more of a fad, like, look how much money I could spend on my carburetor.
Right.
It was originally the Kendig. This was back in the 60s. The Kendig carburetor. And then whoever started the Predator, well, Dale didn't start it. Dale bought Predator. But whoever started Predator originally just took the Kendig carburetor, changed a few things on it, and called it a Predator. Then Dale bought that company and started manufacturing stuff in Toms River, New Jersey. But the off-idle circuitry on those things, something wonky with them. I don't know what it is, specifically what it is, but they never really worked in a good street car. They're either dead lean or dead fat. Either you had a stumble or a bog, right? But tractor pull guys, people who run just wide open throttle, there's nothing in between, they swore by them. In fact, I think almost all of his customers at the time were like tractor pull and that sort of thing. They loved those carburetors. Don't know why though. I couldn't tell you why.
So did you see Steve Maturik's question?
I did not.
It's back up at 8:37. He said, Tony, what do you say about the haters that claim your ponytail is sewn into your hat?
It was your mom who sewed it there. Not yours, Kiwi.
No, I know, but good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, always go with your mom when you got nothing else. I left it at your mom's place.
No, that ponytail is actually genuinely attached. I've seen it like in the flesh. It's a real thing.
Just don't touch it, Kiwi.
No.
Let's see. JK. Here's a bit of Canadian Mopar trivia that Tony may not know. Dodge Canada made 1971 and 72 Dart Swinger special. I know that. I know all about it. They were cheap strippers with overflow mats and no disc brakes. I know. Let's see.
Next UTG, hair extensions with factory parts.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find tech questions here. There's no tech questions. This is supposed to be Wednesday night tech talk. Predator carburetor is a huge aluminum box with a spray bar, not well received. Yeah, it's kind of like the secondaries of a thermoquad. No, the Predator was not plastic. It was aluminum. Aluminium. Is that, how do you say aluminum, Kiwi?
Aluminium.
I knew it. I knew it.
We put a whole extra syllable in there.
You do.
We do. It's not just one letter change. We actually throw a whole extra syllable in there. Okay. How do you deal with welding a patch piece on a large panel like a roof, hood, or trunk? Services that like to oil can. Yeah, it's a bitch, honestly. Is the very short answer. It's just a pain. But you've just got to do it slowly and really take your time. You've got to hammer the weld as you go. To basically, you just weld a small amount, you hammer it to relieve the shrink in it, to let it stretch out again. And you just got to keep working away at it. And when it oil cans, you've just got to either do some shrinks or some stretches and, work your way through it. There's not a trick you can use to stop it happening. All you can really do is minimize it by not getting too much heat into your panel at one time, and messing around with it, hammering it, and shrink and stretch it, and to get those oil cans out, because you will end up with an oil can. That's pretty much a given. So, yeah.
Dial Burton. Tony, did your cars run faster from colder Canadian air in St. Air? Ohio Dukes of Hazard broke his jump record in my New Brunswick Province. I think are probably more cold. No. The only reason that car ran and qualified was that it wasn't on fire. It was like the first time in this guy's whole career that he wasn't on fire. Now, I wish in hindsight that he was on fire, but my purpose at that point was just to get the car in the show, and we did. Let me tell you how bad that. We had Dale Creasy in the first round, okay? So this asshole drives over his head. I mean, he really had no business being in a fuel car. Not that I was any better. I got over my head too, but I was smart enough to not pursue it, okay? But he decided to pursue it. So we had Dale Creasy, who was a friend of mine at the time, in the first round. And we beat Dale to the stripe. Okay, but got disqualified because numbnuts ran over the timing lights on the top end. And then the process of doing this kicked a cone over into Dale's car. Okay, and Dale was a fanatic with his cars, the most beautiful cars, right? Actually, there was a die-cast model of this thing, Dale Creasy's car, that was making the rounds at the time. It was a beautiful, beautiful car. And Dale took great pride in the appearance of this thing. And numbnuts kicked the cone over in the lights and took out the front fender. So I had Barlett, the guy who owned Predator, was like, well, that's racing. That's what happens, right? I was like, I couldn't let that happen. So I actually had my friend Evil Dave Sano Dale's car, take the body and redo the whole front of it, reshoot the whole front of the car. I paid for it because the guy who owned the car refused to do it. That's the creepy fuck that ran Predator carburetor.
Bill McCoskey's got a question for you there, Tony, or for us, I should say. Super chat. Is there any formula or rule of thumb for how power is gained per pound of boost in an engine, depending on fuel, compression, displacement, etc.?
That's Dr. Art.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
If you have an engine that at sea level makes 300 horsepower, with 14 pounds of boost, it will make 600 horsepower. It's very, very linear because 14 pounds is another atmosphere. So you add another atmosphere, and you double the horsepower because you're doubling the air. That's you can scale that however you want, but per pound.
What about the extra heat buildup with the extra atmosphere? Because you always get extra heat when you compress air. Oh, really?
Yeah. All things being equal, it will double the horsepower at 14 pounds. So gain per pound per boost of engine, I'm sure there's a formula, Bill, but and again that would change by how big the motor is, how much power is it making. If it's making 500 and you had 14 pounds, now you have 1,000. So it's that 14 pounds adds 500 in that situation, but a 300 horsepower with 14 pounds makes 600. You're only adding 300 horsepower. So you have to go with what you start with.
Right.
So, and then, it adds 7 pounds of boost, it'll add 50%. So if you're at 300, now you're at a 450 horsepower motor at 7 pounds. That's the quick and dirty math on all that.
JC's carport, Tony, what size jets did I use in a 350 Holly on a 245 Super Duty truck engine? I don't know. I don't even know what jets come in that carburetor stock. Actually, there are two versions of that. There's the automatic choke version and the manual choke version. The manual choke version is the race version, and those are always jetted fatter than the automatic choke versions. So I don't know which one you have. And honestly, I mean, just run it. Run it, do a plug pull, and look at the plugs, and then go from there. That's the best answer I could give you. Of course, Dr. Art would tell you air fuel sensor, meter, and go from there. But tell him something sophisticated. Tell him something better than what I just told him, Dr. Art.
Put 76s in it and roll.
Barry Cooter wants to know what oil canning means. Okay. The old school oil cans kind of had you'd squeeze them and they'd kind of click. They bing and bong in and out. They had a hump in the base of them, and you could actually squeeze them and they'd click, clunk, click, clunk, and it would pump the oil out. And that was how the old oil cans work. And it's a reference back to that. In a fairly large panel, you can get high spots, and if you push it in, it'll pop in. But then if you push back where it was low, it'll go in, and another piece of the panel will come out, will pop out. And then if you push it in the opposite spot that just came out, it'll go the other way, and it kind of just goes like bing bong, and it like the little dent flips and flops, and I don't know whether that makes any sense.
In my life.
Yeah. It's really frustrating because you think you've got it straight, and then you just push on it a little bit, and it pops in, and another piece will get high, and then you push that high bit in, and that low spot will pop out again, and that's what. And it's caused by pressure within the metal, like a stretch and a shrink in the metal. So you get these tension spots in the sheet metal, and that creates this oil canning effect. But yeah, if you've ever used a really old school oil can, that's what they did. You'd squeeze them and they'd pop in or push the oil out, and then you'd release it and it would pop out again. Well, that's what your panel does. You push in on it, it'll bong in, and then you kind of let go or push beside it and it will pop out again. Which makes it impossible for doing bodywork in, because every time you move over it with the sand, with your sanding block, it pops in. And then you'll come back and it'll pop out again. So it's just impossible to bodywork. You have to stop it.
That's why most normal people don't do bodywork, because it's maddening.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a masochistic kind of sport. Yes.
Yeah, it's an art. You really have to have. You have to have it. It's a gift. The good body people, it's a gift that they have. I don't have that.
Sculptors.
KJ Kylie wants to know, was Nipplehead a good driver? Nipplehead was a kid.
Good name.
Was that?
Good name.
Well, it was a kid named Anthony Michio. He had a 3D3 Challenger. So I was like 15. I was the youngest guy in the crowd, and I used to hang out with this kid named Nicky the Retard, who had a 304 Challenger, not Challenger, a 304 Javelin, and I put headers on it, which promptly fell off. But nevertheless, I put headers on it. That made me like, the mechanical hero of this group. And the kid Michio, they used to call him Nipplehead because he liked to wear this hat. It looked like he had a nipple on the top of his head, so that was his name, Nipplehead. It just stuck. To this day, he's got to be 65 years old now, and I'm sure they're still calling him Nipplehead someplace. But I don't really remember if he was much of a driver or not. I guess he was as good a driver as I was a mechanic. We were just kids trying to learn this shit.
Right. Fred Gomez, Kiwi, no bourbon tonight. No, you're right. No bourbon. I've run out. I'm out.
No bourbon left.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of feedback from the bourbon that I've drunk, so it's probably do me for tonight.
Ryan Barkley with a super chat. Thank you, sir. If I build a Jeep for high altitude use up to 15,000 feet, that's pretty high altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better to have a small displacement and boost, such as a 2.5 with a turbo, or more displacement naturally aspirated?
Small displacement with boost, because it doesn't matter how big your motor is. At 15,000 feet, you're not going to make any power.
Right.
You have to create your own air up that high.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, you need to bring a freaking air tank so you don't pass out while you're driving up that high.
15,000 is very high.
Yeah.
Did they even have roads at 15,000 feet?
I saw something on Top Gear a while ago, and I think they got up to about 12 or 13,000 feet.
Before they were like...
then they were sick. They were altitude sick.
You'd need an oxygen mask just to keep from...
Yeah. They did. Yeah. They did. They were very sick and very unhappy boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't have a heart problem, because you won't have to worry about it anymore if you go up 15,000 feet.
The least
it'll fix the problem.
You got a turbocharger on there, and you need scuba gear.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cars they were driving would barely move. Like they stopped, and one of them, like, they couldn't get the car moving again up the hill. They actually couldn't get it moving again. It didn't have enough power to get rolling. And they had to leave it there.
How high? So let's say you got 10. I mean, we're talking hypothetical now, right? So let's say you got 10 pounds of boost at sea level, right? What would you have at 15,000 feet?
Not 10 pounds.
Would it even make any boost at all?
There's not a lot of air up there. That's why helicopters don't fly that high, because there's no air to keep them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's nothing for the blades to bite into, is there?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to, a little turbo and probably an oxygen tank for the motor too. Just feed it into the turbo.
You'd need a decent size.
Going back to this question, I think the right answer is actually the opposite. It would be the bigger engine, normally aspirated, because with no atmosphere, there's no boost. So
there's no atmosphere, there's no air for the normally aspirated either.
But which would be better? Which would be more
traditionally
effective?
It's the turbo, because the turbo will push in.
It'll make some air. Yeah.
It might take, it might go from 10 pounds boost, drop down to 3 pounds boost.
It'll probably spin its nuts off. Boost. Yeah, probably spin itself out of the case trying to compress some air.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. So they're saying the turbocharger. I say the opposite. I think that I bet you Ryan Bartley is giving us a trick question. I think he's testing us. So I'm going to go. They're going with the 2.5 in a turbo, and I'm going to go with the NA bigger.
Even at Pikes Peak, the turbo cars do better than the normally aspirated.
What's the fuel saying? That's
mainly because they can turn they close the wastegates up, and they don't make more boost, but they can maintain the boost by working the turbo harder.
Yeah, they just spin the turbo harder. Yeah.
So, they start with 10 pounds boost and they finish with 10 pounds boost, whereas the normally aspirated start with, well, I'm not quite sure how you measure the value, but they finish with a lot thinner air than what they started with.
Okay, all right. So we got some thoughtful answers coming in here, right? Stray Bullet was saying turbochargers are effective at an aircraft engine up to 18,000 feet. And then 72Z28 is saying boost will get you close to normal operation at 12 or 14,000 feet.
Okay.
The turbo be working hard, but it will give you if it's a big enough turbo, it could potentially maintain its level of boost by taking in a lot more cubic feet of air to compress it, because the air is so thin, so it compresses easier.
Mark Suave is saying in World War II, the Germans had nitrous to climb faster, and there they weren't adding fuel; they were actually adding oxygen.
Yeah.
So it's not like the way we use nitrous. We use nitrous. The reason we use nitrous is to burn more fuel. So you throw more fuel in there, and they were using nitrous to make up for the lack of oxygen. Where they were flying at high altitude. So, yeah, okay. So then I was wrong. You guys were right.
No ice cream. No ice cream for you. You were wrong.
No ice.
Yeah, no ice cream.
Ice cream anyway. Try to stop me, Dr. Art.
We'll give it to the dog.
Bill McKay, thank you again. Bill McKay keeps throwing the super chats. You're very generous, so thank you. This is exactly the type of discussion Greg would be great to have. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never even heard of the guy, but I mean, if he's into planes, that's certainly delving into his territory, isn't it? As far as the thin air goes.
Ice cream is for winners.
Does that mean me and Art actually get ice cream tonight?
Yeah, we get ice cream. I'll take a drumstick, please.
Beagle Bob steps in with the facts. Turbo that makes 10 pounds at sea level would be adding about 75% of ambient air. If 15,000 feet adds 75% of, say, 8 psi, it would operate at around 12 pounds or 3,000 feet normally aspirated. I had a stroke reading. I totally blanked out. So I'm sure he's right.
Sure.
Anybody could throw those numbers out there. There's sometimes things are worded in such a way that you say, you know what, I don't know what he's talking about, but I know that he's right. And that's one of those answers right there. I know he's right. Whatever it is that he says.
Last time I doubled the bar, I got tossed out by the bouncer. Yeah, I'm used to referring to boost and bar, BAR. So,
Stray Ball is saying nitrous along with boost. He's talking about the German aircraft. They were using to control cylinder temperature as well as extra performance.
Your nitrous is cold, isn't it?
Yes, that's what. Well, the nitrous oxide is nitrogen and oxygen, and the nitrogen is the cooling effect, and the oxygen is oxygen. And that's when you spray nitrous, you're not making any power off the nitrous per se. You're making power off of the extra fuel that you can burn in, you can throw in there to effectively burn, and you're increasing the duration of burn because of the volume of fuel. So instead of the big bang being over with by, let's say, 40 degrees after top dead center, you go 50, 60 degrees past top dead center with that same oomph. That's where all the torque comes from with nitrous.
Now, where was that? One car garage. I have an LS7 EFI, so 60 foot-pounds. crank horsepower equals 665. 3/8 hard lines, okay. Now I would go with a 1/2-inch lines, but
for that
3/8
much, yeah.
3/8 is a bit small. You really want to go
at least
dash 8, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You hit up around that, when you get much past 500 horse, you want dash 8.
Ha-has, man. I have a 68 Roadrunner drive shaft in my 64 Fury. The drive shaft has that round flange at the transmission, and it's quite, it's a damper. Should I replace it with a lighter one for drag racing purposes? You'll probably not notice the difference, but yeah, obviously the lighter shaft would be the better shaft.
We're at 2 hours, guys.
Good Lord.
Good Lord.
Are.
Yep.
2 hours and no inclement weather or anything like that. It's,
I think it's supposed to be coming like now, like after 9 o'clock. I got to take a look at that. But we burned down 2 hours. This was incredible.
We have.
And honestly, that went really fast. As it always does with you guys. All right. So, what do we need to talk about as we wrap this up?
I don't know. I got an interesting video coming up. Well, not in the next couple of days, but soon. I'm actually putting electric windows in large Marge.
Ah, okay. That's a kit, or you were adapting from something else?
I'm adapting from something else, and if I can pull it off, it's like $30 a window for brand new electric motors and regulator.
Nice.
Interesting. Okay.
So that should send the Forward Look Mopar forums like spinning out of control.
It's good,
but I think I can do it. I think I can do it. I kind of had the two different regulators set side by side on the bench today, and it's like, I think this is going to work. So we will see.
We're so
and for $30, if it doesn't work, I'll throw it away. What the hell?
You and I are so opposite. I look for stuff that has roll-down windows, and if it starts with roll-down windows, I look to take the regulator out and use a belt to raise and lower the strap to raise and lower them. And you go the exact opposite way. This is what we want. We're like the odd couple.
Well, but that has been said before, yes. So that's coming up for me. What's happening with you, Dr. Art?
Well, next Wednesday I won't be here.
Yeah. I heard that Dr. Art is putting out a video where it's just going to be a shot of him, like a headshot, looking forlornly at the empty space where the torque converter should go.
Meditating over the empty spaces and putting out to the universe, please bring me a torque converter.
If you're not going to be here, maybe we could use a still of your head or like a hypno disc in the background.
We could. I mean, we could. I'll send you a picture and just make a big cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
All right. So you're like, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be. I got a family thing next Wednesday afternoon, evening. So,
okay.
But I'll still be live Monday. And
you go live on your channel every Monday night.
Except this last week I had to go Tuesday because there was another family thing. But Monday night, 7 o'clock Central. And then this last live we did, we had a real good time. We had folks send pictures of their cars to my email, and I put them up on the screen so everybody could share what everybody else's cars look like, and it was pretty fun actually.
Right. So that's Dr. Art's Hot Rod Rehab. If you guys aren't already subscribed to Dr. Art, go over there and subscribe. And like I said, Monday nights he's live at 7 o'clock Central Time for a couple of hours, right? Yeah, usually at least an hour and a half or so, somewhere in there. Now, Kiwi, on the other hand, does not like you guys enough to do a live. And that's fine. That's fine. He's a little bit of an elitist. Not a big deal,
But so, I have got merch coming.
You have what? You have
merch coming.
He does have merch coming.
I like them enough. Soon, but I like them enough to do that. I like them enough to order it. So there you go. I
have these hats that no one buys, so they are available and in stock. So
right.
So
is that like a 3-for-1 deal?
to sell you a picture of one of his cars. And I think that that's just absolutely awesome. But he doesn't like you enough to do a live. And that's fine. That's fine. That's not a big deal. In spite of that, you should still go over there and subscribe to whatever the hell the name of his channel is and share or do whatever. I'll be making his channel better tomorrow by going to his shop and working on one of his cars. But
something to look forward to.
And I have absolutely nothing. I've been slacking off like the last couple of days. I just have not been in a video making, frame of mind. But
is the big white bomb still sitting in the same place in your shop?
I dropped the motor in it, so the motor and trans are in it.
Okay.
But I didn't have a transmission mount. In my whole life, my whole world here, I couldn't find a transmission mount, so I had to order a transmission mount for it. So I've got the motor and trans in place, but I can't make the brackets to mount the motor plates until I locate the transmission properly with the transmission mount. So I got the mounts today. Tomorrow I'll put a mount on there, and then I can make the brackets for the motor plates. And
I had a question for you on that same lines too. What trans mount did you use in Sledgehammer?
1970 and newer.
1970 and newer D100 trans mount?
E-body. No.
E-body mount?
B and E-body.
Need one of them too, Kiwi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
no, you could just use this. No. We made the transmission cross member.
Oh, okay, because there was no mount on that trans that's on your shelf, if you notice.
That's right, because those cars don't have a rear transmission mount. They mount off the bell housing. It doesn't have the conventional transmission mount. So, yeah, you're going to have to fab up a quick transmission cross member. Just look at the one that's on Sledgehammer.
It's got a cross member in there, and there's like holes that line up with the holes in the tail shaft of the transmission, but there's no mount there.
What's the mount directly at the firewall? Isn't there a set of mounts at the firewall?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, then that's the mount that you need. And that I have. I got one of those sitting. I got a couple of those sitting on the shelf in the shed.
Okay.
You remind me tomorrow. I'll bring you that. And I owe you for oxygen sensor. I completely forgot about that. So remind me tomorrow. Pay for that.
It's not a big deal. Oh, and I have your electric go-kart motor because I sold the go-karts and I sold it as a roller. So we have that motor for you.
We'll figure out something to do with that. Actually, you could use that to start engines on the stand. That's got the same that
could. Yeah.
It is the same size as the damper bolt on that 318.
Ah. Okay.
Actually, you could use that starter to start that engine without a transmission.
Well, we should have known that when we were trying to start it when it was all slagged up.
Yeah. But yeah, it was you had it all attached to the go-kart.
Yeah, it's all. I stripped that blue one down, sold it as a roller, and then I sold the other two, and I sold that small block Chevy I had in the garage. I sold a bunch of stuff. Recovered like $3,500 in cash last week. It was nice.
Nice. All right. So I think that's it. I think we're gonna call it the night here. Our mods, Mexican Spec, Fubar, Zero. I haven't seen Ari. Thank you guys as always. Greatly appreciated. Everybody contributed super chat. It's always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody can contribute with just your presence and your conversation. Thank you. We're eternally grateful for you guys allowing us to do what we do over here. Thank you. So
yes, thank you very much, guys, and for all the 186 names for my business: Kiwi, Cyclones, and Funnel Clouds.
All right, okay. That's it. I'm hitting. It's ice cream time. I have to go finish off the other half of
Fudgy Whale.
No, I'm getting fudgy the whale. I'm going to finish the cookie dough one. All right, everybody, we're out of here. Good night, all.
See you guys.
I'm hitting the end stream button, and just like that, it's gone.
Gone.